Now, yesterday, amid the celebration that is May the 4th or Star Wars Day, Lucasfilm announced two future projects, though neither of which came with all too much in the way of details. The first, though, was a film for theatrical release that will be directed and co-written by Taika Waititi, who already does have Star Wars experience under his belt, having directed the 8th episode of the first season of The Mandalorian. He's also well known for having directed Thor Ragnarok, and he won an Academy Award for Best Adapted Screenplay with Jojo Rabbit. Co-writing this with him will be Krysty Wilson-Cairns, who wrote for the show Penny Dreadful and also did the screenplay for the film 1917. The other announcement was for an upcoming series on Disney+. The showrunner for this will be Leslye Headland, who is most well known for working on the Netflix series Russian Doll, as well as her work on The Bachelorette. And the latter of the two here is an official announcement for a show that Variety reported on a couple weeks ago, one that they said would take place in a new time and place in the Star Wars galaxy, and that would be female-centric, which of course caused a bit of buzz within the Star Wars community. But before we get into all that, let's try to get straight all the projects currently announced or in development at Lucasfilm. And first of all, we have The Mandalorian Season 2, which is in post-production, as well as the third season, which is apparently already being worked on. We have the yet unnamed Cassian Andor series, which in the past month or so has seen a slew of casting announcements, and a change with its showrunner, bringing on board Tony Gilroy. Then there's the Obi-Wan series that will be directed by Deborah Chow, who directed 2 episodes of The Mandalorian, though it seems as if the scripts for that are still in the works. A few months back, we were told a film written by Matt Owens, and that would be directed by J.D. Dillard, was also in the works, though no timetable was given, and the rumors swirling around it right now say it has something to do with Exegol from The Rise of Skywalker. We were also told in September of last year that Kevin Feige, from the MCU of course, would be producing a Star Wars movie, though there are a lot of reports that say he's working on, or will be working on, much more than just one movie, but a slew of them, or at least something much larger in scale than just one film. And finally, I suppose I should mention that Rian Johnson was promised a trilogy of films back in 2017, though almost nothing has been said about them since, and I find it rather unlikely they'll ever happen, but who knows, I guess. There was also a series of films that Benioff and Weiss from Game of Thrones fame were going to do until they signed a massive deal with Netflix instead. So basically, there are quite a few projects in the works, or that were already in the works before these latest 2 announcements. And though a movie from Taika Waititi has been rumored for some time, months at this point, and I think it's something most fans are excited about, the more surprising of the two is the confirmation of this series from Leslye Headland, which again got reported on a couple weeks ago by Variety. And since that initial article from them, there have been so many reports and rumors going around about how this was not authorized by Disney, that Kathleen Kennedy, president of Lucasfilm of course, essentially went rogue by hiring her, and the two Bobs running the show at Disney, Iger and Chapek, are furious with her and so on. That in a sense, she kind of strong-armed them into accepting or approving this project, and honestly, there's been so much coming out about this from so many different sources that it's impossible to know what's true or what to believe at this point. And I kind of figured the best approach was to sit back and see if anything official ever got said about it. I figured that if the two Bobs were really that upset with this, we'd never again hear about it, that it would just be like the Rian Johnson trilogy, where they just don't talk about it and hope everyone forgets. Only in this case, since no official announcement was ever made, it would have been all the easier to just never talk about it again and have it fade away. But now that it's been officially announced, I'm not sure what to believe about any of this anymore. If the two Bobs at Disney really had that much of a problem with this, I have a hard time believing it'd be announced. And if Kennedy truly used some nefarious tactics to get it greenlit, which some have claimed, I'd imagine she sealed her fate and will absolutely not have her contract renewed when it expires next September. Then again, maybe her fate has long since been sealed, which is not hard to believe since the sequel trilogy saw diminishing box office returns, as well as diminishing returns from merchandise, so this could just be her way of doing whatever she can to get one last project off the ground. It could be that, as crazy as it sounds, she may indeed be going completely rogue here. Who knows what's really going on behind the scenes with this? All we do know is that this story leaked roughly 2 weeks early, and days before Variety broke the story, Leslye Headland scrubbed her Twitter account, removing something like 200 tweets, which seems to imply she knew the story was about to come out, though, as I guessed before, it could just as easily be that someone from Variety got wind of this, reached out to her for a comment, and that obviously tipped her hand, and then she deleted her tweets. Anyway, many will now ask, what is even the big deal with all this? Well, again, when Variety reported on this initially, they said it would be a female-centric show. And to that you might again say, what's the big deal? Who cares if it's female-centric? And while that's kind of the point many have made, that you wouldn't say something is male-centric, so why go out of your way to say it the other way around? And despite what some may want to believe or claim to be true, pretty much all Star Wars fans feel that Star Wars should be made for everyone. They don't actually care who makes it or what gender the characters are, as long as it's good. Just look at the last story arc here from the Clone Wars, where the main character is Ahsoka Tano, obviously a female character, and how much love she and this story are getting from the fans, because it was just incredibly well made. And so it's a little odd to have the very first thing said about a new show be that it's going to be female-centric because, again, who really cares? Why is that the most important thing? Why is that being said like it alone should either be a selling point or like it's being made specifically for women and or girls? However, as I pointed out in the initial video I did, that's how Variety reported it as a female-centric show, and no mention of that, or if anything really, was made in the official announcement from Lucasfilm. And so, to entertain conspiracy theories for a moment, this all does feel a bit like a trap, that this is maybe something Disney is or was leery about, that Kennedy went ahead with anyway, and then the info was leaked, and it was mentioned that it was a female-centric show, just to get some fans worked up. And the more objections some make against it, the more others will push back and demand this show actually get made, or keep hounding Disney till they do. Now, as I keep saying, I don't know that I believe that because I don't know what to believe at this point. If Lucasfilm wants to make a female-centric Star Wars show, then go for it. I don't have any objections because saying it's female-centric doesn't exactly mean that it's not going to be made for everyone. Though I would question Lucasfilm if they did make a show aimed primarily at women, since, if we're being honest, they do make up a smaller portion of the fanbase. It's certainly a significant portion. There are certainly plenty of amazing female Star Wars fans out there, which is awesome, but they still are the minority, and I think even they would acknowledge that. And no, that doesn't mean that since there's less of them, they don't deserve to have a show more curtailed to them. But the thing is, I think most of the women and girls who like Star Wars or similar franchises like it for what it is, not because it's necessarily curtailed to them. And again, none of this is an argument against having more female characters in Star Wars, or more female creators behind the scenes, or in some capacity making a franchise like Star Wars more accessible to them, if you will. This is just me looking at it from their perspective, from the business perspective, and wondering what the goal is here. I mean, will a show that appeals primarily to women ultimately bring in some new female fans? I think certainly, of course it will. But would it bring in more fans overall, not to mention more female fans, than a very well-made show all around, with great male and female characters that appeals to both equally? That I highly doubt. Even still, if they want to make a Star Wars show that it really appeals more to women and girls, as I said before, go for it. I am not here to fight against that idea. I'm only here to question why they do that, which I know sounds horrible, but again, I'm trying to look at it from their perspective. And I truly feel an all-around well-made show brings in more fans overall than one geared just to women and or girls, and it could even bring in more female fans than the female-centric only show. Not to mention, there's been this push as of late to kind of destroy the notion of what should be for girls and what should be for boys, which is something that, fundamentally, I do agree with. I don't think we have to deny that some things generally do appeal more to one sex than the other, but people should just be able to like whatever they want and feel comfortable with that, and that should be that. So in a sense, though it may not sound like it, and some won't believe me, I'm on the side of those who want to see Star Wars be something that can be more welcoming to more types of people, but not because it's made for them, but because it's made well enough for anyone, or at least anyone who does or could enjoy these type of stories that are being told. And I'd argue till I'm blue in the face that that's the reason why Star Wars became as popular as it did in the first place. So many different types of people could find something to love about it because it was such a well-told story. And that's the key. Anyone can enjoy a good story, and a good story can be about anyone, no matter what race or gender or sexuality or whatever else it might be. And that's why people get frustrated when they hear that the new series will be female-centric. Not because they hate women, but it makes it sound like they're going to purposely exclude some from being included, which feels like it's defeating the point of everything they're trying to accomplish. Well, that's all I've got for this time. Now it's your turn to tell me what you think about all this. Are you excited for these new projects or not? Whatever the case may be, leave a comment below and let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.